Okay, now what happened from your perspective as the businessman, Mason?
She like teleported.
And so she moved, right? And did she move towards you or away from you?
Away from
Okay, but what didn't move?
you. The tree.
You and the tree.
You and the tree.
So, Ty, who is in this frame of reference? Who is in your frame of reference?
Or you.
Yourself and the tree, right? But Dr. Lady is in a different frame of reference? Yes? Oh. Pretend that somehow the aliens have turned off all of the sensory apparatus of the man and the Dr. Lady except for their sight. Okay? So you are the businessman. From your perspective, she moved away and you and the tree stood still, right? But from her perspective, since she can't feel motion, what happened?
You and the tree moved away.
Very good. The businessman and the tree moved away. So from her frame of reference, where she's standing, it looks like they're moving. From their frame of reference, it looks like she's moving. Okay? So now they're back in their original state.
The tree moved.
They both moved.
It's.
You switched it.
Yes. Yes. So the whole background changed, right? Did the man and the lady move relative to one another?
No, but the trees.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the background.
But the whole background. So yeah. So if you're the tree, they moved. If you're not the tree, if you're them, the tree moved, right?
Well,
So, yes, trees can't move. And so on Earth, when you're going about your day-to-day life, generally you don't have to worry about frame of reference.
but you know if you moved, so why?
You know that you moved when you move.
Oh.
So, and you know that trees can't move. In your day-to-day life, you know what's likely to move and what's not likely to move, right? You know that the tree is going to be staying right where it always has been, unless somebody comes with a chainsaw and cuts it down.
Then it was
It'd be
really different.
sad.
Jump Dynasty.
Okay, so frame of reference in your day-to-day life isn't nearly as important as in science, where we are actually having to measure things relative to one another. Or we're talking about things that we're not sure whether they're staying still or not. So if, for example, we have a rock mass, a continent, say, and we see evidence in the layers of that rock that certain layers were at one time on a level with each other, but now they're like this. Okay, so if you're my right hand, that's this one. Okay, if you're the layer in my right hand, and you're displaced from the layer in my left hand, but it looks like my right hand and my left hand were once one layer. If you're in the reference frame of my right hand, then it looks like there was a force below my left hand forcing it up, right? Called an uplift. If you're in the reference frame of my left hand, it looks like there was potentially a force pushing my right hand down. Which reference frame you choose dictates what your theories are, your hypotheses are about what caused the displacement.
Yeah, but you know what moved and what didn't, so.
But you don't if it happened 10 million years ago.
Whoa.
In astronomy, the whole history of astronomy is affected by this concept, because early on, based on the observations that were made and based on some sort of religious impressions or theories, the theory was that the Earth was the center of the universe. Well, our reference frame is the Earth. So the only place we can see the universe from is the Earth. So it makes sense that the early natural philosophers or natural scientists made observations and they drew the conclusion that the Earth was the center of the universe. However, when telescopes were invented, that changed our frame of reference because we could see more. We could sort of visualize ourselves being on another planet or on the moon or whatever, and we could make observations that were as though we were coming from a different frame of reference, And we saw that actually the data support the idea that the Earth is not the center of the universe. And that's when they move from geocentric to heliocentric, or sun-centered theory of basically what the solar system is centered around. Only later did we come to the conclusion that actually there's a center of the galaxy and there's another center of the universe. But early on, when they were first forming theories about what's the center of the solar system, it was the ability to change their frame of reference that made it possible for them to draw the conclusion that the sun is the center of the solar system. So on your day-to-day life, it doesn't matter nearly so much as on larger scales. Okay, now we're going back to our original state. One more example of frame of reference. Here we are in our original state with the tree behind us, yes?
No.
Okay, now what has happened? Now what has happened? Paige?
Well, either the Earth moved or they got like frozen in time and they moved over because they're exactly in the same position. They just moved over.
Right, so are they in a reference frame together?
Yes.
Excellent. Question? And now we're back in our original state. So their frame of reference has moved back to the original state versus the Earth's frame of reference, okay?